A man is sitting in a room late at night, his face illuminated by the screen of his computer. He's on the dark web and has found the website he's looking for. On the homepage it says, "If you want to kill someone, we are the right guys. We have professional hitmen available throughout the entire USA, Canada, and Europe, and you can hire a contract killer easily." Great, he thinks. These are the people I'm looking for. That website existed. It was called Bessa Mafia, and indeed it said it could send hitmen all over the world to take someone out. All you had to do was hand over some Bitcoin and the person you wanted to take care of would soon die. This is a fantastically complex tale. It involves the FBI, it involves hackers, it involves someone saying they're the Albanian mafia, and it involves murder, a real-life murder. The man we introduced had downloaded the Tor browser and found his way to the dark web after hearing about hitmen for hire websites. When on the site, he used the name Dog Day God, and he asked the admin to do a job for him. That was to kill a woman in the US named Amy Allwine. He told them to make it look like a car accident. He was informed this would cost him $6,000. The woman did end up dead, make no mistake, but her death didn't look like a car accident. Dog Day God told the Bessa Mafia that this woman would be driving in Moline, Illinois in March. The year was 2016, but some time had passed and she was still alive. The Mafia guys said one of their US-based hitmen had gotten into some trouble, so things wouldn't go as planned. They said the job could still be done, but with the added complications there would be an added cost, another $12,000 on top of the $6,000. Now getting someone whacked was becoming very costly, but hey, it was better than asking someone on the street. Then something happened that really set Dog Day God back. The Bessa Mafia website was hacked. We'll come back to that. Thanks to investigations, we know that Dog Day God went on to another dark web marketplace and bought the drug scopolamine. It's been used as a truth serum in the past, nicknamed the Devil's Breath, because it can apparently zombify people when taken in large doses. The zombie stories might be somewhat exaggerated, but as one professor told The Guardian, certainly high doses would be completely incapacitating. Anyway, this guy wanted some, likely thinking he could do a lot of damage with it. But now back to the victim of the story, Amy Allwine. She might not have been killed immediately, but she did start receiving scary messages from people she didn't know. They threatened her, told her that if she didn't do such and such, her life would slowly be ruined. They would ensure she lost everything. She'd be better off dead. Then one day she felt pretty ill. She even started Googling vertigo. It was as if she'd taken some awful drug, an incapacitating drug. It would later turn out that she'd unknowingly taken a very high dose of scopolamine. That's what the coroner said. But it wasn't the drug that killed her, it was a gunshot wound. Okay, you're confused. That's understandable. Who had killed Amy? The Mafia guys? Or the guy who tried to hire them but later bought a load of the Devil's Breath? It wasn't the Mafia guys and their hitmen, it was Dog Day God. Turns out he was her husband, Stephen Allwine. Stephen had contacted Bessa Mafia, but things hadn't turned out well after spending thousands of dollars, and he bought that drug. He'd obviously given it to her but shot her later and tried to make it look like it wasn't murder. Stephen was apparently a man of God, being a deacon and an elder in his local church. He was also a cheat. The judge called him an incredible actor, a hypocrite, and a cold and calculating killer. He now teaches Bible classes in prison. The important thing here is the fact that the website Bessa Mafia was hacked. The FBI had taken a look at the messages sent to the website, and they'd seen some from Dog Day God, someone who'd paid for a hit on Amy. Cops went round to the couple's house right after the hack and told them about the contract on her life, although at that point they didn't know that Stephen was Dog Day God. He was a suspect, though, as nearest and dearest obviously would be in such a situation. Still, the cops just said remain vigilant and install good security around the house. It wasn't until she died and the cops looked into Stephen's computers and his Bitcoin wallet that they discovered he was Dog Day God. Okay, so now we have the part of the story taken care of. But what about these Albanian mafia guys, and what about their connection with the FBI? Now, another story. We have to go over to London, UK, and talk about a man named Chris Monteiro. In 2016, at the time all this was going on, he was working as a computer systems administrator, but when he got home at night, he transformed. He became a kind of mythbuster. Sometimes he just wrote stuff for Wikipedia, but one of his missions in life was to look into urban legends. One such legend that took his fancy was being able to hire a hitman on the dark web. He didn't believe this actually happened and just thought some bad people were getting scammed by other bad people. If you've ever read on the web that internet assassinations are just a myth and you can't hire a killer on the dark web, the information might have come from him. The man did his research too. But then, one day, someone tried to change what he'd said on the Rational Wiki website, saying you can actually hire a hitman. But the only real website for doing it is Bessa Mafia. The edit read, the site protects the customers with an escrow service that stores the Bitcoin until the job is completed. Ah, thought Monteiro, this is obviously just the work of the scammers. They can't make money if someone has outed them. Rational Wiki deleted the edit, but then things got really weird, to say the least. Monteiro then went onto the Bessa Mafia website and wrote a review, and in no uncertain terms he called it a massive scam. A few days later he got a message back. It read, "Hello, I'm one of the admins of the Bessa Mafia website on the deep web. Would it be possible for us to pay for a true and honest positive review? Let me know if we can prove to you that we're legit. It was signed by someone named Yara. Later, Monteiro received another message. It read, "We're open to suggestions. We will do our best to make it the best marketplace focusing on body harm revenge and property destruction." But get this, Yara told Monteiro to put his money where his mouth was. He said, "If you don't believe we're real, pay us some cash and wait. The person you've chosen for us to beat up will be beaten up." Damn, thought Monteiro. Then after some more back and forth, he received a video clip. It showed someone holding up a piece of paper that read, "Gang member for Bessa Mafia on Deep Web." Then the person blew up a car. No kidding, it was real. He later said, "I started questioning myself. Had I bleeped off a criminal organization? What the bleep had I gotten myself into?" Still, before you get too excited, with the help of British cops, now he thought he had to go to them, the Firestarter was tracked back to California. It seems this person wasn't Bessa Mafia at all, but some dude in California that just wanted to get involved. Monteiro didn't give up there. He created an account with the Bessa Mafia website saying his name was Bodie McBoatface. He wrote to the admin stating that he wanted someone taken out. That man was none other than Bob the Builder. If you don't know, this is a children's TV character in the UK. Monteiro was a smart guy, is a smart guy. He's not been whacked as of the time of writing. But communicating with the website, he managed to exploit a vulnerability that made it possible for him to download all of Bessa Mafia's message database. It had all the names of the people that had contacted it. What a massive pot of gold he had just found. He subsequently reported what he'd seen online, saying the site was a scam. No one actually ever died, he said, although people did pay for that to be done. People from all over the world had written to Bessa Mafia and said they wanted someone to be taken out. We don't need to tell you that such information is pretty useful to law enforcement. The messages seem to show the same thing quite often. Yura could do the job, but things usually went wrong, and that would involve more costs like what happened to Dog Day God. Some people asked for a refund when the job was never done, others just gave up, and Yura became a fairly wealthy man for an internet scammer at least. Yura might have also been a woman, that's up for debate. It turned out that the one guy that had written to Yura saying he wanted to become a hired assassin. The message read, "I am broke, of course. I am looking for quick cash. I have military training, US Navy." Yura said he wasn't hiring at the moment, but asked if the guy could do something else in the meantime. That was to make a video of himself blowing up a car. This was the car video sent to Monteiro. But then Yura said, "Can you also get yourself a fake gun and start acting out fake murders?" Guess what? Videos on the web surfaced of such things. This was all part of Yura's plan to make Bessa Mafia look like the real deal. You can't blame Yura for his effort. He even went as far to hire SEO experts to ensure Bessa Mafia ranked high in searches. While this is all very amusing, you have to remember that there is a very serious aspect to what went on. People were trying to hire hitmen to kill people. As Monteiro told Wired magazine, maybe Yura was just a scammer, but the clients in this case were some really bad people. The messages at times were from trolls, as could be expected, but most of them were legitimate. One guy said he wanted his wife's secret lover killed. He said he'd donate his own organs if he could get a discount. He then asked, once the hit was done, could his wife be smuggled into Saudi Arabia? Another person from the Netherlands asked for a guy to be mowed down on his bicycle. He gave details about where the guy cycled. This was serious stuff. In the meantime, Yura tried to assure people reading his website that he was not a scammer and things were going fine. He wrote, "We are not a scam. There are no Bitcoin lost. Our website got hacked, but hackers only got information about some users." Those messages showed many details. Some users didn't ask for someone to be killed, but merely beaten up. Others asked for someone to be mutilated, but some went the whole way. Murder usually cost anywhere between $5,000 and $200,000, but there were additional costs for making it look like an accident. Having someone beat up was just $500 and setting a car on fire was $1,000. While Monteiro had told people this was all a big scam, many folks out there believed it was real. Someone wrote on the website, "I saw they also have hitmen who do murder for hire," and was astonished to see that the price was very low, only $5,000. In a thread on Quora, other so-called experts said Bessa Mafia was 100% legit. By this time, Monteiro was showing British cops what he had found. He showed them one message from a guy named Dog Day God. The message showed he told Yura that he first said, "Please kill her and make it look like a hit and run." Then he said, "Well, a traffic collision while she's driving would do just fine." When he got more desperate, he said, "Just do it any way you want. Shoot her if necessary or burn the house down." The same house where he read his Bible. One message he sent read, "I need this bleep dead, so please help me." You know the rest. He murdered her himself. As for how Monteiro felt about that, he later said, "I've been thinking, well, these are horrible, terrible people who, if you don't arrest them, maybe will take matters into their own hands. I thought that was hypothetical, but then it really happened. Now things get more messed up." Monteiro, who we've so far painted as the hero of this story, had a visit from the UK police. He was sitting at home one night getting ready to eat his soup when they used a battering ram to burst through his front door. They took his computers and shoved him into a police van. At the police station, he was told he was wanted in relation to a murder and his connection with the organized crime group, the Bessa Mafia. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Hadn't he told everyone they were fake? Let's say again here clear that Yura was also a very smart dude. He'd spent months creating a misinformation campaign to make it look as though Monteiro was part of the assassination plots. He created email addresses with the name Chris Monteiro, and he got his freelancers to start working on the campaign. It worked. Obviously, the warrant for Monteiro's arrest read open source reporting shows that Chris Monteiro and 2 other subjects created the Hitman for Hire website Bessamafia on the dark web. Monteiro was, to say the least, going crazy as he sat in his cell, at times reading the only available book, a golf autobiography. He'd been outsmarted, he'd been done, and Yura must have been laughing his head off from the comfort of his own home, wherever that was. British investigators said Monteiro was part of everything, an ally, while he told them he was just the opposite. He was a man that had tried to show Yura was a scammer and also the man that had helped solve a murder. Without laughing, he told investigators he was Bodie McBoatface and he tried to take out Bob the Builder, but only as a means to uncover the truth about the Bessamafia. Detectives didn't believe him. One of them asked him if he was so innocent, why did he have a copy of the computer game Hitman in his apartment? But after 2 days of interrogations and an inspection of all the data on all his computers, the cops let him go. The UK's National Crime Agency, however, made some arrests based on conspiracy to kill charges. It turned out a British doctor had contacted Bessamafia and asked for a financial advisor to be killed. A woman in Denmark was arrested for asking the website to kill her former boyfriend. Bessamafia was shut down and Monteiro just gave up on Yura. Then he received an email from him about 6 months later. Yura told Monteiro that at the end of the day, exposing him as a scammer had only served to make people actually look into real ways of killing someone. Sure, he said, Bessamafia, while a scam, was better than nothing. Then Yura started another website, Cosa Nostra. Would this ever end? And how come he hadn't been arrested? Monteiro hacked Yura again, and this led to more arrests, one as far as Singapore. But how had Yura managed to start up operations again and evade the law? Yura had actually started a bunch of other Hitman websites. Some of them were Sicilian Hitman, Ndrangheta Hitman, Camorra Hitman, Bratva Mafia, and Yakuza Mafia. They were all the same websites under different names. For instance, one of them read on the homepage, "The Bratva Mafia is the proven legitimate deep web eBay of crime. We offer you a large international network of experienced hitmen and provide services to beat up, set fire, or kill customers' targets. We assign hitmen in the same country as the target with the appropriate skills that match the job specifications." Monteiro did his stuff, and yet again he told the National Crime Agency, or the NCA, about all these people writing to Yura asking for someone to be killed. The NCA emailed back one day and said, "We aren't monitoring that website, and there have been no arrests. However, we work closely with our international law enforcement parties to share information and intelligence." He was virtually ignored, even though he was sitting on information that could save someone's life. He later said he couldn't stop because there were people's lives at risk. But who is Yura? And what about his connection with the FBI? As we said, Yura has avowed that he is doing good in the world. People that have contacted him have been told that his scamming exposes folks who want someone killed. He wrote to Wired saying, "It's a moral right to scam criminals and would-be murderers if it helps saving victims." He also wrote, "After Bessamafia was hacked, FBI agents talked with me on a chat site. He told me they don't want to arrest me. They're not after me. They want to arrest the murderers." So, is he an informant, or at least did he become an informant? The FBI, of course, won't say if Yura is working for them, but think about it. It would make sense. Law enforcement has always allowed criminals to profit if their criminal informants give them the information they need. But the fact is, by telling folks you can take someone out for them just might lead them to do it themselves once they've been ripped off. It's planting seeds in people's minds, not something the FBI would want. Still, it is very likely that the FBI is letting Yura get away with scamming. Perhaps they think it's worth the risk. In fact, if you go through all the personal messages that were leaked, you can see some of them show administrators of the site telling someone that they help law enforcement. One time, the admin was contacted about a possible hit on a woman in Texas. The admin gave the investigator all the information he needed and said he would help with the other investigations if need be. He said he would help the FBI when possible. Remember, these were hacked messages, not something the FBI would want out there. It's likely why the National Crime Agency in the UK basically ignored Monteiro, because they were already talking to Yura. One hacked message said this: "Hello, yes, that is correct. We receive orders to kill people from all over the world. However, our site is fake, and we don't have any hitmen. We forward the orders to police departments where the targets are located." Still, the years passed and those websites stayed up, and many people asked to have someone killed. One of the latest arrests involved a woman in Illinois who asked for the wife of a man she was in love with to be murdered. She got 12 years in prison for that. An official press release read, "Thankfully, the intended victim, whom the defendant deemed a romantic rival, was unharmed, even though Jones carefully planned the murder and paid more than $12,000 in Bitcoin to the Sicilian Hitman International Network to carry out the murder." So, are there really any legitimate sites out there where you can hire a killer? Some of them right now state they are the real thing. One of them says we can provide video proof of our services with timestamps. Again, such proof is not possible for or fake services. If you try and find solid proof when a hitman actually was hired on the dark web and did actually go through with the job, you can find just one instance. It happened in 2018 when Russian teenagers were hired by a drug trafficker to gun down a police officer. That one story, though, will likely only serve to make a lot of money for the fake hitman, guys only too willing to pass on your details to law enforcement. Now you need to watch why you should never visit the dark web or have a look at This Is a Real Life Hitman.